So, my first question to everybody has been, what sort of made you decide to join the program? What sparked your interest in Distinguished Young Women in the first place?
Well, my mom did junior miss when she was my age. And when, of course, she found out about the program first. And she was looking into it and she was like, okay, Anna needs to do this. And so it was actually my mom who got me involved. And then once I went to the first meeting, I was like, okay, Anna, let's just do it. Let's just try it. And all the girls there were so nice. And even at the first rehearsal that we had, I knew that I wanted to do it because the girls there I had never met before, but it was just so neat because they were all so outgoing and fun. And I was interacting with these girls that had such wonderful, contagious personalities. And I hadn't really been exposed to that before.
Yeah, I love that. So you had the initial and introduction from your mom, which is really cool because you kind of got to see her perspective and see what she thought of the program, and then you kind of came to your own conclusion of this is actually something that I want to do too. And then the girls you met along the way sort of helped drive that and in your decision making and say this is something that's really cool. I can do this. So did you have a local program and a state program, or just a state program?
Yeah, we had local and state.
So how did that go? What was your process like in deciding on your talent, and how did you decide to prep for fitness? How did all that go for you?
Deciding my talent was definitely a fun journey for me. I knew I wanted to do something saxophone because I'm a saxophonist,
Okay.
but I also knew that classical music, which is my specialty, would probably make people fall asleep. And so I had to find something that would be fun, but also something that I loved and that I would be good at. And so I was talking with my mom and we decided, well, I found this one song in my piano lessons that I was playing, and it was Don't Know Why by Nora Jones. And it was just a classic jazz tune that my dad introduced to me. He introduced Nora Jones to me and all of these songs. And so I learned this piece on the piano and I was like, okay, what if I learn this on the saxophone? And so I decided to play Don't Know Why by Nora Jones on the soprano saxophone, which was just so fun. And it forced me to get out of my comfort zone because, sure, I'm a performer, but there's also a difference between standing in front of an orchestra behind a stand or sitting with a band and soloing. Like, it's very different than like owning the stage and performing. And so I definitely had to work through that. And then when it comes to fitness, I worked on my push-ups a lot. And the local level, I feel like sure I was doing push-ups like, frequently. And then we did one of the practices and I was like, "Oh shoot, these girls actually know how to do push-ups." And so then after I won, I was like, "Okay, I need to ramp it up a little bit." And so preparing for state, I feel like I did a lot more fitness prep than talent prep, whereas with locals it was almost swapped. But it was honestly a really unique opportunity for me because I'm a soccer player, and so I've never really developed that upper body strength. And so it was neat to find the different areas in my passions that I could work on that would help me through this program in both the local and the state level.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you actually put a lot of effort into being your best for the sake of the program, and it definitely paid off because now you are the state rep for Idaho, which congratulations on that.
Thank you.
A lot of the girls have the same sentiments. Those push-ups are a point of contention for so many, especially if that's just not something that you do. I played softball, so part of our practices were doing push-ups. So that was probably one of my best things. But then there were sit-ups and running and doing the cardio. That was probably the biggest struggle in the whole fitness thing. But you feel so accomplished and achieved when you actually succeed in that and find yourself doing a good job at the end of it. And it's so cool to see how it all from the beginning to the end, and how you achieved what you achieved. So now that you are the state rep, what is something that you're looking forward to maybe doing with your newfound title or being there for other people? How do you plan to celebrate this accomplishment?
I think as the state rep, I definitely have a new responsibility, but I'm also so excited with what the future will bring and what it will hold. And for me, I think that definitely means getting to know the girls in my local program that I'll help run and the girls in the state program and just almost just inspiring them and helping them know that even if they feel like they can't do any of this, that they can and that they're good enough. And I just want to be that for other people.
Well, I think that's a very good goal and aspiration. Um, a lot of times we get in our heads and we are scared and nervous because it's something new and it's something that we are not used to. But I've told so many of the girls, it may be a challenge, it may be hard, it may be out of your comfort zone, but the cool part about it is you can do hard things. And once you're in it, it's really not that hard at all. It's just all been in your mind. And I think it's really cool to see how the program is really geared toward prepping you. You don't have to know how to do a push up when you're just getting started. You learn that in the program. You learn these interview skills. You develop all of these awesome skills that you're going to take throughout the rest of your life. So it's not just something that stops when you're done with the program or when you graduate high school. This is something and things that you will carry with you forever. And you have such a sisterhood. There's decades of women before you who have done this and gone through it. And they're gonna be there to answer these questions. And most of the girls have said that's what they want to be. They want to be that guiding light, that support system. And I think it's so cool to see how that sisterhood bond really carries through until the end of time, because it's until this program, kicks the bucket, which we hope it won't, which is the point of these conversations. You're going to be able to say that you have this relationship, these bonds with these girls, and the networking. It's really unmatched and it's priceless. And a lot of times we depend on, ourselves to make things work when really we have such a community around us that can help us. And something that you'll be able to say is that you have a community of these sisters from one from every state once you get here to Mobile, which is probably one of my favorite things about it. Um, so now that you are the state rep, do you have any plans to or what are you hoping for to gain now that you are the state rep? Is there anything personal that you want to achieve with the title?
I honestly, I think it just goes back to the girls and the excitement that I feel for just having the opportunity to go to nationals. I mean, I made some of the best friends on the local level and then even more on the state level. And these girls were just stunning. And so, at first when you win, you're like, oh my gosh, I actually won. And I think a part of all of us is a little scared. And then I realized that these girls at nationals were gonna be so amazing. And for me, I mean, I'm just so honored that I get to represent Idaho. And being the state representative just gives me motivation to be me even more and to let my true light, to let me shine through because I do represent all of these amazing girls and I represent an entire state. And so going to nationals, I'm excited to find a new way to share who I am and even discover more parts of myself that I don't think I have even uncovered yet and just to get to know so many of these wonderful girls from all of the other 49 states.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, again, it's a sisterhood and something that you're going to carry with you forever. Um, so a little on that note, if you were to give some advice or words of encouragement to a girl who is apprehensive, they're not sure if they want to do this, or maybe they have some fears along the way. They think it's actually a pageant when it's really not. What would you tell them to encourage them that this is something that they can do? This is something that they should do.
Honestly, I would just tell them that this is an opportunity to be yourself. and to learn about who you are through the local program and especially through the state program with the interviews. I had to find a way to show who I was to the judges just through my words and even on stage, but mainly for the interview portion. And it made me really do some soul searching, as you could say. I was trying to figure out, like, I thought I knew who I was, but then when it came to putting it down on paper, putting it into words, it was kind of hard to grasp and to even portray that. And once I realized who I really was and who I could be, I mean, things just changed. And what I would tell those girls is that this program isn't about being your neighbor's best self or your mom's best self, or even that one girl in the program who seems to have it all. It's about being your best self. And that will hold much more value than trying to be anyone else or even comparing yourself to these girls who are different. We're supposed to be different. And I just love that this program has taught me how I can be me, the best way that I can be me.
I love that. And it really goes to show that you're taking a lot out of the program that it's designed to do for our participants, which we love to hear and we love to see that. And you're doing so much for the sake of that. So this year, we've instilled sort of a theme of ripple effect. And if you imagine what a ripple looks like in water, it's one droplet and then it kind of expands and it grows. And we're using that imagery and taking that and putting it into action. So, how one small conversation with one of these girls who may be a little apprehensive, and you're teaching them that this is something you can do. You can do this. And that one small conversation made such a big impact and actually made her decide to join the program. And now she's a state rep. That little small gesture made such a big difference. And then on the volunteer side, how one giving back on one Saturday or one weekend for a local and state program that probably couldn't have happened without their volunteering and dedicating that time to distinguished young women. And then, of course, our sponsors and how we get money in the first place and have money to give scholarships out. Just showing that one business that their seemingly small contribution, donation, made such a big impact and let a girl go to college. And we want to make that well known. We want to let everybody know that these small gestures really add up and pay off in such a big way. So I've been asking all the girls if you have any suggestions on how we can reach even more people, and maybe make those impacts even greater. So if you have any suggestions, a lot of girls have had said social media, which I completely agree with. And that's kind of why I wanted to have these conversations with all of y'all. Social media is the way of the world. And that's how we're trying to reach people and reach new participants and reach new volunteers and sponsors. But y'all have such great ideas, and that's just really just barely scratching the surface. So I've been asking, do you have any ideas or suggestions on how we can make that reach even bigger?
Last night, we actually had our first meeting for the class of 2026 with my local program. And one of my directors asked, how did you find out about this? And not one person raised their hand for social media. And that might be an Idaho specific thing, but which is totally possible. But I thought it was super interesting. And I also realized that last year I didn't even have social media. And so I think at least for another take on things or something that would help Idaho more than maybe some other states is actually going to the schools or actually putting posters up in the school or making a video announcement. I think that would reach the people in this area a lot more. And especially for me, I feel like even if you're scrolling on Instagram and you see something pop up and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, I feel like you're much less likely to actually act on that opposed to if someone was actually talking to you face to face and they were showing you what it really meant to them. And you could see the emotion in their eyes, or they were really trying to encourage you to do it in person. And I know sometimes that's not super feasible, but I think even just going to schools or sending out announcements and having someone talk about it even briefly and video announcements or on their school page or anything. I think that would reach a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. And many of the girls have also said just going into classrooms and talking to them and having these conversations. And somebody even said writing handwritten cards means so much more than just an email saying thank you. And I totally like that clicked with me because I appreciate when somebody sends a thank you card in the mail. They took so much time to do that. They paid the postage, for it. And that just shows so much, I don't know, I guess gesture, like they cared. And it's so cool to see how the simplest things sometimes make the biggest difference. So yeah, I have encouraged all of the girls that I've spoken to so far to do that, try to make some time and go to one of the classrooms of these middle school girls or ninth and 10th grade girls who you may can convince to do it. That's a great thing and a great way to get our message and our platform out there. So if you can do that, please by all means do it. I've also told a lot of the girls I have a television background, so I have a lot of connections and I can try to get some media involved if you have any sort of program or something that you want more people to know about, let me know. I'll try to do my best and get a contact for you. It's worth a shot at least. So if there's anything that I can help in that regard, let me know. Um, but as far as this conversation, you're a senior now, so you're thinking about college. You have not a lot of time left. It's going to go by so fast, and you're going to be in Mobile before you know it. So, with that said, what are your plans for college? Do you have one in mind yet? Have you decided on your major? What are the steps you're going for right now as the end of the year approaches?
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun question. I plan on attending Utah State University starting in the fall of 2025. And I've been thinking a lot about my major, and I have it narrowed down to two, at least right now. So I plan on starting with an English education major, and then if that doesn't work, I might go to social work or the other way around. I think it would be super cool to be a child and family social worker, but I've also always had a passion for English and music. And so I plan on doing a minor in music, and it's hard because I like so many different things, but I think honestly once I get there and once I take more classes, I'll get a feel for what I like more and what I really want to do as a career.